Doctors in the U.S. have found a way to cool a person's body to the point that they enter a state similar to what's known as suspended animation. And while it sounds like something from a science fiction film, it could have huge real-life implications for victims of injuries that result in major blood loss. Gunshot wounds, stabbings, car accidents. Joining us now is the surgeon who led the operation, Dr. Samuel Tischerman. Good to have you with us this morning.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
So we refer to it as suspended animation. It is officially called emergency preservation and resuscitation. When, in what instances do you use it on a patient? And explain a little bit more of how it works.
Well, here at the R.E. Cowley Shock Trauma Center and the University of Maryland Medical Center, we're looking at trying to save trauma patients who are basically dying in front of us from bleeding. They bleed so much that the heart stops. And really, right now, the chances of survival is less than 1 in 20. So what we're trying to do is just cool the body down very fast to very low temperatures. We're talking about 10 to 15 centigrade, to just basically decrease the body's need for oxygen. That would allow surgeons time to operate, get the bleeding controlled, and then we can resuscitate them in a delayed fashion.
Is that cooling of the body temperature at risk at all to patients? Like what are some possible outcomes from that?
Well, the benefit certainly is a decrease in the need for oxygen, so they can survive a longer period of time without oxygen and without blood flow. There's certainly a risk with hypothermia. It affects the body's ability to clot. There may be some other effects, but given that what we currently do for these patients basically doesn't work the vast majority of the time, we think it's worth trying something as invasive as this to save them.
And Dr. Tischerman, if you can explain for us as well, the amount of time that a trauma doctor would have to work on a patient when they didn't have this, the resuscitation, or when they do.
So right now, there's sort of been a dogma that if the brain doesn't have blood flow for 5 minutes or more, you start having some damage done. And we could quibble about a few more minutes perhaps being okay if you're at normal temperature. What we've been working on it could allow upwards of 45 minutes or an hour for the body to tolerate not having any blood flow. And it's kind of like people who drown in cold water that could still be saved, or what cardiac surgeons do sometimes where they have to stop all the blood flow to the body just to operate on the heart or the aorta for about 45 minutes to an hour, and that seems to be safe.
We know that this is still in the trial stage now. Some of the footage that we're sharing with our viewers is, operation on a dummy. But when could we potentially see this procedure brought into other hospitals for other doctors to use?
I think it's going to be a while. This is a very difficult thing to do. I mean, we're asking trauma surgeons to do something they don't normally do, or bringing in cardiac surgeons and perfusionists, who are the people who work the heart-lung machines, to do this sort of thing. And so right now it's really that we're testing it at a very advanced center like we have here at the Shock Trauma Center. If we can show that this can work, then we'll do some more research and bring in some other centers. So it's going to be several years before we might see this being more broadly utilized.
It is a fascinating procedure. Dr. Tischerman, thanks for bringing it to us.
Right. Thanks for your interest in it, and thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.